Hi guys, in this video we're going to learn how to quickly and easily create a breaking news style kind of a video. This method will work best for a pre-recorded style video. That means a pre-recorded footage of yourself delivering the news for a film or a short film or a skit or even a parody. This method will not work for a live stream style video where you're delivering it to a live audience in real time. You may need to use some other software like OBS Studio, which we may cover in a future video. So in this video, I'm going to be using Blender 2.8 Beta. If you have the latest Blender 2.8, go ahead and open that one. So first off, go ahead and open up Blender 2.8. Now, I'm going to be using the built-in video editor that's available in Blender 2.8. But before I go ahead and do that, I'm just going to go ahead and create two different scenes. The first scene, I'm just going to name it as the video footage. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new scene by clicking new over here and just clicking new. And I'm going to name this scene the overlays. So when we click this button over here, we have our video footage and our overlays, which are two completely different scenes. So let's go ahead now and click the video footage scene. With the video footage scene selected, go ahead and change this workspace to the video editor. In order to do that, go ahead and click this plus sign over here. And then video editing, video editing. Now with our video editor open, we need to load in our source footage. That is the footage of yourself recording the news. So go to add, movie, and then load in your raw footage. Since I'm a bit camera shy, I'm not going to be using my own footage of me recording the news. I'm going to be using my most recent short film, Uyir. So I'm not going to be rendering out the entire video footage. It's about 10 minutes long. I'm only going to be rendering a portion of it and just the most interesting portion from the film. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrub this strip over here to the interesting part from the film. So I'm going to hit G and then move it to wherever the part that I like it to start from. Okay, I might choose somewhere over here. Right now it's about 10 seconds long. Maybe I might increase it to say 20 seconds. Yeah, let's make it 20 seconds. So on 20 seconds, maybe somewhere around, maybe let's make it a little longer. That footage looks quite nice. Yeah, let's go 34 seconds over there. So right now I'm on frame 839 as we can see over here. So let's change the end frame to 839. I guess also I don't need the audio clip. So in Blender, the green strip is the audio, the blue is the video. So I'm just going to right click just the audio, hit X and then delete. So now we have just the video playing. And the video is playing really, really slowly. It's not catching up with the actual time over here. So we need to change the playback over here. Oops, sorry. Click playback over here and change it from no sync to AV sync, audio video sync. So now it should play in real time. Okay, so now we have our source footage loaded up. It's now time to add in the breaking news overlays. So in order to get a nice breaking news overlay, I suggest you to go to Google Images and check out some news overlays and pick a design that you like. So I'm going to go for a sort of a CNN kind of a style, but you don't have to follow my sort of style. If you have your own style that you want to go for, you can go ahead and use that style. So let's now go ahead and design our CNN style. So in order to design our CNN style, I need to change from video footage to overlays. And in overlays, I'm not going to be using the video editor, I'm going to be using the modeling. Okay, so by default, we have nothing in our scene. So we need to have a camera. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift A, add camera. If you don't want to use the shortcut key, just go and hit add camera this way as well. Then I'm going to go into front view by hitting number 1 on the numpad. Again, if you don't want to use the shortcut, just go to view, viewpoint, front. I want the camera to also face the front view. Make sure you go to viewpoint front and then view, align active camera to view. So now the camera is facing from the front view. Next off, we don't want to have this sort of perspective view. What perspective view means is if I say, for example, I add in a monkey and then I maybe duplicate this one and then bring it closer to the view. So grab Y, something like that. So right now we're seeing it as if it's from the perspective view of the camera, but we don't want to use the perspective view. We want to use the orthographic view. What that means is if I go into the camera settings over here, this object data tab over here in the properties window, and change from perspective to orthographic, we see it looking like this. So if I move back or front, it makes absolutely no difference. The monkey still looks the same. So it doesn't take distance into effect. Now we need to do this because we're going to overlay a few objects that are going to be in front of each other, behind each other. The most important thing is make sure you go to camera settings and change it from perspective to orthographic. That's it. So we don't need any of this. So let's now go ahead and start to create in our overlays. So for the CNN, I want to have like a bar that's all the way at the bottom that just has the scrolling text that keeps going from side to side. And it's going to have a black background. So now let's go ahead and add in a plane by hitting Shift A, Mesh Plane, go RX 90 to rotate it at 90 degrees on the X-axis. So from camera view, I'm going to hit SZ to scale it down on the Z-axis, and then SX to scale it out on the X-axis. And then I'm going to move it down to somewhere around there. Also, I want to change the shading mode over here to the actual shading mode as if it's going to be rendered. And we're going to be using the Eevee rendering engine for this one. Okay, so we have no light source at the moment. So maybe I might create a light source for our world. Hit New. And let's just keep it like a white background. So let's make it a white background. Okay, so we're just creating a default white background. The background is not going to be rendered. We're going to be replacing this white stuff with our pre-recorded footage. This is the bottom bar of our breaking news footage where we'll have the scrolling text going through. So I'm going to create a material for this one. Go to the materials tab, hit New. Let's go ahead and change this from a principled shader to an emission shader. And let's make this one black. Just fully black, that's it. Okay, so that part is now done. Next thing I want to do is I want to just go ahead and add in the breaking news part over here. So go ahead and hit Shift D and design how you want your breaking news part to look. So I want to have a little part over here that's just going to be white. Okay, so let's just, for this one, this material, we'll call it black. This one, I want to hit the number 2 over here to duplicate the material and make it its own unique material. And then call it white. Now I can change the color. If I didn't hit the number 2, it would have duplicated it would have actually changed this material as well to be white. So you need to hit the 2 to make it unique. Okay. Well, now I guess I can't really see what's going on, so I guess I'm going to change the background world to another color that I'm not going to end up using. So something like blue. Yeah, something like that should be okay. Don't worry, it's not going to be rendered. We can treat it sort of like a blue screen. Okay, so now we have that part in white. I'm going to go ahead and add in another part over here. This is where we're going to display the text called breaking news. So let's just scale this up like this. SX, SZ, and let's put it maybe it's a little too big. Let's put it somewhere like that. And what I want to do is in the 3D viewport, I want to move this behind the white plane. So GY, and let's move it behind. And I'm going to, again, so for example, let me just show you what I mean over here. If I just change this to, say, red, and then change it to like a red color, it affects both materials. So I need to make this one unique by hitting number 2. And this will be red. And this one will be white. So one there, green one, blue one, and that's white. Okay, this one will be fully red. So no green, no blue content there at all. A red color is always used for breaking news kind of stuff because it catches our attention more. Actually, it's too big. Let me just put something like that. And I might choose to put it somewhere like so. I guess this is a bit too wide over here. I want to leave some space here for some logo. So let's tap into edit mode. let's select these two verts, hit GX and move it in a little bit. Somewhere like that. Yeah, I think that's looking good. So let's just duplicate this for the logo area. Shift D, X. And let's just move this in place over here. So this is where our logo will sit. And I guess I'll just duplicate this a little bit over here. Shift D, and then S, Z, S, X. Let's move it over here. In side view, sorry, in front view, let's move it in front. So GY. And I want it to fit perfectly. I want these two edges to fit perfectly with this one. So what I'm going to do is I want to tab into edit mode, select this vertex over here, bring this out, and I want to use global for this one. And I want to copy the x-axis. So hover over the x, Control C, tab out, select these two vertices, and Control V. Tab into edit mode over this, copy the x by hitting Control C, select these two verts, and Control V over there. Okay, so we now have the overlays ready. The next thing we need to do is we need to add in our text. So the text part is relatively simple. Just go Shift A, add text. You can also add text here from here as well. It's the same thing. We can't see what's going on because it's rotated in the wrong axis. So hit RX90 to rotate it at 90 degrees on the x-axis. Now I'm going to move the text forward, and let's just move it down. Let's just scale it down to something like that. Okay. Now we can play around with the text settings from the object data settings from the properties panel. So let's go ahead and go to the properties panel right now. First thing that I want to change, or actually before I go ahead, I'm going to change the material. Hit a new material. Let's change it to let's change it to just a black material. That should be enough. Okay. So first thing I want to change from the text settings is the font. That's a very boring looking font that comes by default in Blender 2.8. Generally, you should never use that font. Should use a different font. So I'm going to be using an Arial style font, which is the sort of font that they use in news. So in order to load up that, just go and expand the font subtab over here, and then under regular, just open up the new font. So the font will usually be in your C, Windows, fonts folder, and just have to select one of these TTF files. So I might choose not Arial Narrow. Yeah, actually I'll choose Arial Narrow. You can choose the normal Arial, but I'll choose Arial Narrow because that looks more interesting. And then, yeah, you have your font now loaded up. Okay, so now that we have our font, we need to change the text. Tab into edit mode, and then now we have a cursor to work with. So now I can treat it like an actual cursor like you would use in something like Microsoft Word or Notepad or whatever. So I might just say something like new Blender short film year released. I'm also typing all the text in capital, just based on my quick research online on Google Images. I tend to find that a lot of these breaking news stuff, they only write all the text in capitals. They rarely ever use like lowercase letters. So I guess I'll just use capitals as well. So let's just use something that looks like that. Next, I'll just put in some random text at the bottom. So hit Shift D and put some text over here. I'm going to change this material to be white now. Okay, and this is just going to be our scrolling slider text. So I can change this over here and just add in some random stuff like, okay. At the end of every scrolling text, you can also go ahead and hit that character that's next to your curly brace text above the enter key on your keyboard, just to add that little separation. I tend to go like 1-2 spaces, then add that key that's above the enter key, then 1-2 spaces again. The text here is a little too big, so I might just scale it down by hitting S and make it really, really small so that it doesn't cut off from the camera. Yeah, that's looking okay. Okay, so I wrote some really long text over here that's going well out of the view of the camera range. That's okay because we're going to be animating it so that it just scrolls like this, like as you would normally see from the news. But I want it to loop so that it keeps on going on and on and on. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and convert this to like an actual mesh, because right now it's not a mesh, it's just a text object, and we can't use some modifiers like the array modifier. So first off, let me just save my work just in case something crashes. Okay, now I want to convert this to an actual mesh. So to convert, oops, I had space. So to convert it, just hit F3 and then try convert to mesh from a curve mesh surf text. So I'm going to convert to a mesh from a text. Cool, so now it's an actual mesh. What I'm going to now do is add an array modifier. And then just keep increasing it to make it you know, quite loopy. Depends on how long your animation is going to be, really. We'll look at the animation a little bit later, but let me just go ahead and finish up the text. So let's just select this text over here, Shift D, and let's tab into edit mode, and just simply type in breaking news. Scroll it down, scale it down a bit. Maybe you might squash it a little bit as well. Change this to a white color by going to the materials and changing it to white. So not material, but white. Yeah, that's looking okay. Alright, finally I'll go ahead and add in a logo. Now I'm not going to use CNN logo because that might break some copyright, but I'm going to use my own logo, my own Telegram Studios YouTube channel logo. Of course, to add in my logo, I can go ahead and add in a plane and then UV unwrap that plane and then apply my texture on top of that. But I'm going to use an add-on that will make this really fast. So if you have a bunch of logos that you want to use, you can do this method because it's really quick. Just hit F4 on your keyboard and then hit Preferences. Then go to Add-ons, and then I already had this loaded up from before, but all you need to do is just type images, and you want to enable this add-on called Import Images as Planes. That's it. So now what you want to do is you want to go ahead, Shift A, add image, images as planes. And then you want to go and find your logo. I have my logo over here. And I'm going to change this to from diffuse to emit. For alpha, I'm going to change from straight to pre-multiplied. And that's about it. Go ahead and hit import images as planes. I can't really see anything that's going on. So in order to see that transparency, I think in Eevee you have to turn on screen space reflections and refraction. And in this material settings, you need to turn on alpha blend. Yeah, alpha blend. That's about it. It's not the best looking logo for a news. I think a news logo should be a lot more bold, a lot more striking, a lot more thicker. Mine is mostly based on filmmaking and tutorials, so it doesn't look doesn't really stand out, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, so now I have my logo loaded up. All our overlay elements are now done. I mean, you can spend more time on this, making more cool elements if you want to have like a transparent logo over here as well. I mean, I could do that over here. Shift D, and then maybe I might duplicate this logo design material, and then just go into the shading settings. Let me just save this work real quick. Shading settings, and then for this one material, I might go ahead and add in. I might select this one, duplicate it. Might also duplicate this one, Shift D, and then just select these two and control the amount of transparency, and add in a very light you know, news logo or channel logo over there as well. Not so important, but whatever, like a watermark feature there. Okay, so that's it. That's all I'm going to do for now. Next, what we want to do is work on the animation. So let's change from the modeling tab to the animation tab. And here I'm also going to change to the shading view, the rendered view, so we can see what it looks like in real time in Eevee. And the way I'm going to animate this is, I can just go ahead and click this one over here, hit G. So the dope sheet, I have my one keyframe over here. I might choose maybe somewhere like frame 40, and then move the animation like this, and just observe how fast it's going. That's too fast, so I might move it out. to frame 120. And it seems to be going slowly and then speeding up and then slowing down again. I don't want to do that. I want to just go in one constant speed. So if I go to the graph editor, we can see the keyframe action a bit more clearly. Let me just select everything and hit the period key on my numpad. We can see it's going slowly and then speeds up and then slows down again. So I don't want that kind of interpolation. So I can either in the graph editor or the dope sheet editor hit V and then vector. Apologies for the sound outside. It's actually starting to rain quite heavy. But anyways, so in the graph editor you can see that it's now a constant speed. So I think I like that kind of a speed. I might stick to something like that. So I don't want to stop there. I want it to keep going on forever and ever. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and keep this animation going on without having to choose which frame to end on. So to do that, go ahead and hit Shift E, linear extrapolation. So now the animation will keep going on forever and ever and ever. All we care about is how fast the scrolling text goes on for. So that's pretty cool. So the scrolling text animation is now done. So next up, I'll probably move this breaking news effect. Let's turn off automatic keyframe insertion just in case we make some accidental keyframe changes. I might move this back more and move this one back further. And just to show you what I meant earlier with the perspective view, if I set the camera and change now from orthographic to perspective, you can see how everything just goes out of whack. Like if I zoom in and try to make it perfect again, you can see that the text is all over the place. You can see that sort of perspectiveness. That ruins everything. So that's the reason why we use orthographic. We can move things back and forth without the perspective ruining everything. Change the pivot point of this one. This is just me just being creative now. So I might select the bottom edge over here, Shift S, cursor to selected, tab out to object mode, and then go to object, set origin to 3D cursor. The reason I'm doing that is because I can animate this all the way here. On frame 40, I might just hit S and add in a keyframe over there by left clicking. And on frame 1, SZ0, and then add in a keyframe over there. So now when I play back, we have something that looks like that. It's a little too slow. So I might just do something like this. Yeah. And just to make it a little bit more interesting, I might just go there and just duplicate that keyframe over there. And then somewhere in the middle, just make it a little smaller. So it has that sort of popping effect. And same with the text. I'll move this text to appear over here, by adding a keyframe over there, but then over here, let's just move it out of the way. But I don't want it to appear before the red thing, so I might keep it low. Cool. And for this one, I just might do like a fade effect, so it just fades in. For that, I need to use the material. So I don't know, I might start over here. Maybe frame 40. Let's just hit. I don't want to change black. I might just duplicate this one and say black main news, and then I'll just hit I over here. And over here somewhere, I might just change it to white. Cool. Yeah, something very, very simple. It doesn't have to be super fancy. I think that should be good. Okay, so the animation aspect is now done. So let's have a look at what that looks like from the modeling viewpoint. Cool. So that's our final animation that I want to go with. Finally, what we're going to do is we're going to add in all of this stuff on front of our video footage. Now, since we have a blue screen, if you want to render it out the way it is, you can go ahead and do that, and then use another video editor to actually green screen or blue screen it out, and then add in your video footage. But I think I might try a different technique where I want to add it in Blender directly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle back over from the overlays to the video footage scene. Change over to the video editing scene that we have over here. And what I want to do is I'm going to add in the overlay directly. So go to add, scene, overlays. It's only 250 frames long, which is not correct. It needs to be 839 frames long. Let me quickly go over to the overlays tab and change this to 839. So let's just double check everything looks okay even at 839. Nope, our text still keeps going on. So that's pretty cool. Let's go to the video footage scene again, video editing, and now let's re-add, let's go back to frame 1. Now let's add the overlays scene once more, and now it fits perfectly. When you put any strips below another strip, in the actual video, it'll go behind the scene. So what you want to do is you want to hit G, Y, and move it above so that it appears in front. So as you can see, we can't really see anything that's going on at the moment. Also, it's appearing black and white. I think we need to change from modeling over here to rendered. Oh, that doesn't affect anything. Anyways, we can't really see anything that's going on at the moment. What you need to do is you need to change the overlay here from cross to, I think it's alpha over, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, sorry, you need to change from blend mode to overlay. Okay, it's not looking quite right because I think there's one more thing we didn't do correctly in the overlays thing. Let me just quickly render a scene in the overlays. So hit F12 on your keyboard. That should do it. Next, what you want to do is in the let's go over to the modeling tab. I'm going to change it so that when you render it, you don't render the background. You render it as a transparent image. So in the, I think it's in the render settings, you need to do that. It's under film. Change the alpha from sky to transparent. Okay, and also in the render settings, make sure RGBA is ticked. That stands for RGB alpha. So now I can go back to the video footage scene and to the video editing. So now you can see that the transparency is taking effect successfully, but it's not doing it correctly. So maybe I might do alpha over. Yeah, alpha over seems to have done the trick. Now you can see our video footage behind and the 3D objects in front. So that's it. That's pretty much all you need to do. So if I just hit save now and do a render, we can see all our elements now coming into effect. All right, so cool, that's it. We have our final breaking news thing now done. One final thing that I might add, just to add a bit more interest, is you could add in another video on top of an existing video. So for example, what I mean by that is, let me just go grab Y and move this a few layers up, and then hit Shift D, and move this one over here, and I might pick another interesting scene from the film. So I might just add in an effect strip. So go add effect strip, transform, I think it's called. And then let's just change this one to uniform scale, and I'll just scale this down a lot. Something like that. And then move the position of it to maybe, I don't know, here. So we have two videos in a video. So this is perfect, for example, if you have a main news reporter presenting over here and another news reporter over here, maybe presenting the weather from another location or something like that. So you can create this sort of like a PIP, picture-in-picture kind of effect. So now when I look at that when it's rendered, let's go ahead and hit save. Well, actually, now you can see that once you put the video in there, the main video disappears. That's because if I have a look at the overlays, the overlay here is not set correctly. We can't make it replace. We have to make it like an alpha over. So now we can see what it looks like when it's rendered. There we go. To finally finish things off and actually make it a video clip, what you need to do is, we don't have it here by default, which is a shame. Go to the layout, and then under the, I think it's this one here, output settings, change the file format under output to, I don't know, something like FFmpeg video. Under encoding, choose a format that you like. I tend to pick MPEG-4. H.264 is fine. If you know more about this stuff, then go ahead and change it if you know what you're working with. Audio, I don't have any audio, but if I did have audio, I might choose AC3 or MP3. But again, if you know all about this stuff, then go ahead and change it so that you get the best looking video output possible. Finally, what I want to do is name the video file itself. So go ahead and choose the location of your file and name the video file as well. I might call it like the breaking news footage and hit accept. So choose where you want to save it and name the video file as well, and then go ahead and hit accept. Make sure everything here is correct, the resolution that you want to render it out as. By default, the resolution is 1920 by 1080, which is high definition, HD. If you have 4K video, make sure you put the relevant resolution there. I think it's 2560 by something. You have to Google that. Or if your source footage is a different resolution, make sure you put that one in there. Frame rate generally tends to be 30 frames for news, sometimes 60 frames per second if you have those video cameras. 24 frames per second is quite rare. You'd only use that in a film. But since I'm using a film as my source footage, I'm going to probably stick with 24 frames per second. Finally, time to start rendering it as a video clip. So to actually render it as a video, go to render and hit render animation. Sit back and wait till the animation itself is done. And here is the final breaking news video animation. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching and Happy New Year.